Why do you get 8 hours of sleep, but wake up with that same gnawing feeling of financial lack? Florence Scovel Shinn. Shinn discovered something truly eye-opening. You can spend all day making affirmations, doing visualizations, working on your mindset. But if, in the 5 minutes before you fall asleep, you're dwelling on bills, on debt, on scarcity, you've just programmed your subconscious mind to create more of that, because your subconscious mind doesn't rest at night. It works. And it works on exactly what you planted right before sleep. Think about it. You spend 16 hours awake trying to think positively. But 5 minutes before sleep, you're stressing about money. And during the next 8 hours, your subconscious mind is processing that worry. It's turning it into belief. And that belief transforms into reality. You're literally creating scarcity while you sleep. And you don't even realize it. Florence discovered this back in 1920. In an experience that completely changed her understanding of financial manifestation. She was working with a group of people. Everyone was doing the affirmations correctly. Everyone had faith during the day. But no one was manifesting significant results. And Florence couldn't figure out why, until she asked each person in the group to keep a journal, a very specific journal. They were to write down their last 3 thoughts before falling asleep, and their first 3 thoughts upon waking up, for 2 weeks. And when Florence analyzed the journals, she saw a devastating pattern. During the day, people were thinking abundance. But at night, in the last few minutes before sleep, they were thinking worry. And in the morning, upon waking, they were thinking fear. So it didn't matter how many affirmations they did during the day, because in the most powerful moments, dawn and nightfall, they were vibrating scarcity. And here's why these moments are so powerful. Florence studied ancient mystical texts and discovered that all of them, without exception, taught about these moments of transition, the moment between sleep and wakefulness, the moment between wakefulness and sleep. These are portals. They're when the veil between the conscious and subconscious mind is thinnest. They're when programming happens most deeply. Think of it like a computer. You can tinker with files during the day. But to install a new operating system, you need to reboot. And it's exactly during the reboot that the system accepts deep programming. Sleeping is your daily reboot. And the 5 minutes before are when you choose what programming will be installed. Florence started teaching this to the group. But she didn't just teach theory. She gave them a specific phrase, a phrase that each person should repeat, out loud or mentally, in the 5 minutes before sleep. And the transformation was instantaneous. In 1 week, half the group had manifested unexpected money. In 2 weeks, everyone, without exception, had seen concrete financial changes. And the phrase wasn't long. It wasn't complicated. In fact, it was surprisingly simple. But it had a very specific structure. Each word chosen with purpose. Each syllable calibrated to create an exact frequency in the subconscious mind. Because Florence understood something that most people overlook. Words have power not just because of their meaning, but because of their sonic vibration. She studied Eastern mantras, studied words of power in Hebrew, studied Gregorian chants, and discovered that certain combinations of sounds create altered states of consciousness. And when you repeat those combinations 5 minutes before sleep, you're literally hypnotizing your own subconscious mind. You're opening the door and planting seeds right in the garden of your unconscious. And there's a science behind this. Florence didn't know it at the time, but decades later, researchers discovered something called the hypnagogic state. It's the mental state between awake and asleep. And in this state, the brain produces theta waves. And theta waves are the portal to subconscious reprogramming. It's when you're most suggestible, most receptive, most open. Children live in theta waves until the age of 7. That's why they absorb everything. That's why they believe everything. And it's exactly in this state that all your financial programming was installed. When you heard your parents saying that money doesn't grow on trees, that rich people are greedy, that you need to work hard to get something, it was all installed in theta waves, and now it runs automatically. But here's the amazing part. You can access theta waves again, every day, in the 5 minutes before sleep. And you can use that access to install new programming, to overwrite the old beliefs, to plant seeds of abundance in the same soil where scarcity was growing. And Florence taught not just the phrase, but the complete ritual, because it's not just about the words, it's about how you speak them, when you speak them, in what position you are. Everything matters, because you're performing a ritual, and rituals work when all the elements are aligned. First element, timing. The phrase must be repeated exactly 5 minutes before you turn off the light and close your eyes to sleep. Not half an hour before while you're scrolling on your phone. Not 2 minutes before rushing around. 5 dedicated minutes. It's the last conscious act of the day. And when you make it a priority, you're saying to the universe, this is important, and the universe responds to priorities. Second element, position. Florence instructed that people should already be lying down, in the sleeping position, because the body needs to be relaxed. If you're sitting, tense, the body doesn't enter the correct state. You need to be comfortable. Eyes closed, hands over your chest or your abdomen. Slow breathing. It's a posture of reception, of openness, of surrender. Third element, repetition. The phrase isn't said just once. Florence taught that it should be repeated 11 times. And 11 isn't a random number. In numerology, 11 is the master number. It's the portal. It's the bridge between the material and the spiritual. And when you repeat something 11 times in an altered state, you're creating a deep energetic anchor. Fourth element, emotion. It's not to be recited mechanically. Each repetition needs to have feeling. You need to feel the words. Imagine what they mean. Connect emotionally with each syllable, because emotion is the fuel of manifestation. Word without emotion is a seed without water. It doesn't germinate. And now I'm going to tell you the story of a woman named Ashley. Ashley came to Florence a desperate. She had tried everything, read all the books, taken all the courses, applied all the techniques. But she was still broke. Worse than broke. She was in mounting debt. And the more she tried to manifest money, the more she sank. Florence talked to Ashley for hours and realized something. Ashley did everything right during the day. But when Florence asked about her nighttime routine, Ashley admitted, every single day, before drifting off to sleep, Ashley would check her bank account. She'd see that negative balance staring back at her, and she'd fall asleep, riddled with anxiety. She was, quite literally, programming herself for poverty. 8 hours every night. Florence Scovel Shinn taught Ashley a powerful affirmation and gave her one additional instruction. Ashley needed to stop checking her bank account at night. In fact, she needed to stop thinking about money after 6 in the evening. And in the 5 minutes before sleep, only the affirmation. Nothing else. 11 repetitions with feeling. And then drift off to sleep in peace. Ashley doubted it, But she obeyed. And in the first week, something strange happened. She started having dreams. Vivid dreams about money. Not dreams of lack, but dreams of abundance. She dreamed she was finding money, that she was receiving payments, that she had incredible opportunities. And she woke up with a completely different feeling. Not anxiety, but hope. In the second week, the external world started to shift. An old client who had vanished suddenly reappeared. A project that had been stalled suddenly got the green light. An unexpected job opportunity materialized out of nowhere. These weren't huge sums of money, but they were signs. It was the universe responding to her new programming. By the fourth week, Ashley manifested something truly impossible. An old debt she was absolutely certain she'd never see repaid was paid. A significant amount, enough to clear her most pressing debts. And when she called Florence, in tears, Florence said something profound. The dreams came first, because you needed to see abundance in your inner world before you could manifest it in the outer world. And you did that by repeating the affirmation every night. And here's what Florence explained about dreams. Your subconscious mind speaks in symbols. It speaks in images. And when you program your subconscious mind right before sleep, it starts to show you in your dreams that it's accepted the new programming. Dreams are confirmation. They're the universe's receipt, saying, order received, processing. So if you start repeating the affirmation, and in the first week, you have dreams about money, even if they seem strange, pay attention. It doesn't matter if it makes logical sense. What matters is that your subconscious mind is working on the issue. It's reorganizing beliefs. It's forging new neural pathways. And very soon, that will manifest in the physical world. But there's a common mistake that Florence frequently saw. People who would start doing the affirmation, see initial results, and then they'd stop. They thought they had already reprogrammed their subconscious mind, and then they'd revert to their old patterns, and they would lose everything they had gained, because subconscious reprogramming isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's a new lifestyle. Florence used to say that it takes 30 days to create a new neural habit. But it takes 90 days for that habit to become permanent. So the affirmation should be repeated every night, without fail, for at least 90 days. And after that, you can do it more sporadically. But for the first 90 days, it's sacred. Don't skip even one night. And there's another layer that Florence taught. The affirmation before sleep is powerful. But there's a complement to it that multiplies its power. An affirmation when you wake up. Because if you program your subconscious mind at night and reinforce it in the morning, you're creating a closed loop. You plant the seeds at night and water them in the morning. And that's how the manifestation grows exponentially. The morning affirmation is different from the nighttime affirmation. It's shorter, more direct, more energetic, because you're waking up, entering the world of action. So the energy needs to be different. The nighttime affirmation is about surrender. The morning affirmation is about command. Florence instructed that the morning affirmation should be done still, in bed, before getting up, before checking your phone, before thinking about the day. You open your eyes and immediately declare it 3 times, out loud if possible, or mentally if you share a room, but with conviction, with certainty, as if you were announcing an established fact. And now I'm going to tell you about the most extraordinary case that Florence ever documented. A man named James. James wasn't just broke, he was homeless. Literally living on the streets, sleeping in shelters. and someone gave him a flyer about Florence's lectures. He went out of desperation, not out of faith, pure desperation. And when James heard about the affirmation before sleep, he thought, I have nothing to lose. He didn't even have a fixed place to sleep, but he decided that every night, no matter where he was, in the 5 minutes before he fell asleep, he would repeat the affirmation 11 times, with feeling, as if he were already wealthy. And something unbelievable happened. In 2 weeks, James got a job, not just any job, a job where the employer offered to advance him his first paycheck, so he could rent a room. In 1 month, James had a home. In 3 months, he had savings. In 6 months, he had been promoted. And in 1 year, James returned to Florence's lecture. But not as a student, as a donor. He financed 100 poor people to attend for free. Florence told this story all the time, because it proved that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how impossible it seems. If you reprogram your subconscious mind every night, the universe conspires. Doors open, opportunities appear. The right people cross your path, because you've changed your fundamental vibration, and vibration attracts corresponding reality. But here's a hard truth. Most people won't do it. Most people will watch this video, find it interesting, and do nothing, because it seems too simple. And the human mind mistrusts what's simple. It thinks that transformation needs to be complex, needs to be difficult, needs to involve sacrifice. But Florence discovered the opposite. The most profound transformations come from the simplest practices. Because simplicity is sustainable. You can do it every day. And consistency is what creates miracles. It's not the spectacular technique you do once. It's the simple practice that you do 1,000 times. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The affirmation. The exact affirmation that Florence taught. The affirmation that Ashley used. That James used. That hundreds of people have used to transform their financial lives. And that you can start using tonight. But before I reveal it, you need to make a commitment. Not to me, to yourself. You're going to test this for at least 7 days. Every night. 5 minutes before sleep. 11 repetitions. With feeling. Without skipping a single night. Because if you don't commit, the words will have no power. Power comes from intention, and intention comes from commitment. Here is the affirmation. Listen carefully. Feel every word. And if you're watching this at night, don't wait until tomorrow. Start tonight. I sleep in peace and wake in abundance. While I sleep, my subconscious mind attracts financial opportunities. I am a magnet for prosperity. Money flows to me naturally. I deserve it. I receive it. I am grateful. It is done. That's the affirmation. Simple, direct, but structured perfectly. Let's break it down element by element, so you can understand its power. I sleep in peace. That line is absolutely crucial, because before you can program abundance, you need to dissolve anxiety. Peace is the base state. It's the fertile ground. Without peace, nothing grows. So the affirmation starts by establishing peace. You're not worried. You're at peace. And peace allows your subconscious mind to work freely. I am in agreement with abundance. This line creates positive expectation. You're not just sleeping. You're sleeping with a purpose, with the certainty that when you wake up, you'll be in a different state, in a vibration of abundance. It's a bridge between today and tomorrow, between who you are and who you're becoming. While I sleep, my subconscious mind attracts financial opportunities. This line is a direct instruction to your subconscious mind. You're giving it a command, a mission. While I rest, you work. And you work specifically on attracting financial opportunities. It's like programming a robot to do a task while you're away. I am a magnet for prosperity. This line shifts your identity. You're not just attracting prosperity. You are prosperity. You are the magnet. It's not something external. It's your essence. And when you declare yourself to be something, you start to become it. Because identity determines action, and action determines results. Money flows to me naturally. This line removes the feeling of struggle. You're not forcing. You're not fighting. Money isn't something you need to chase. It flows naturally. Like water flowing down a mountain, like air entering your lungs. It's natural. It's easy. It's inevitable. I deserve it. 3 devastating words, because most people don't believe they deserve it. And as long as there's a belief of unworthiness, there's a blockage. So you need to declare it every day. I deserve it. Not because of what I've done, but because of who I am. I exist. Therefore, I deserve it. I receive. This line is about openness. Many people want abundance, but they don't know how to receive. They feel guilt when they receive. They feel they need to give back immediately, and that energy blocks receiving. So you declare, I receive. Fully. Without guilt. Without debt. I simply receive. I am grateful. Gratitude is the seal. It's the stamp that confirms the manifestation. You're not thanking for something that has already happened. You're thanking in advance. Because you know it's done in the invisible realms. And advanced gratitude is pure faith. And pure faith manifests miracles. It is done. The final 2 words. The conclusion. You're not waiting. You're not wishing. It is done. It's a declaration of a fait accompli. You spoke. The universe heard. It's processing. It is done. And with that certainty, you sleep. And your subconscious works all night, transforming that declaration into reality. Florence Scovel Shinn documented 3 critical mistakes that people make when using this affirmation. And if you make any of them, the power diminishes drastically. So, pay attention, because these mistakes are subtle, but devastating. First mistake, repeating the affirmation in a hurry. Some people just want to fall asleep quickly, so they rush through it, dispatching the 11 repetitions in less than 2 minutes. And that doesn't work. Because you're not just saying words, you're creating an altered state. And an altered state takes time. Each repetition should take at least 15 seconds. You speak slowly. Feel each word. Breathe between phrases. It's active meditation, not mechanical recitation. Second mistake, opening your eyes between repetitions. It seems silly, but Florence Scovel Shinn found that keeping your eyes closed during all 11 repetitions is crucial. Because when you open your eyes, you leave the theta state, you go back to beta, and you need to start over to enter the trance. So you close your eyes before you start, and only open them after the 11th repetition. And then you fall asleep immediately, without checking your phone, without thinking about other things. From the last word of the affirmation directly into sleep. Third mistake, doing the affirmation but falling asleep, watching television, or with background noise. Florence Scovel Shinn was adamant about this. The 5 minutes before sleep need to be in silence, or at most with soft instrumental music. But no shows, no news, no conversations. Because if you do the affirmation but immediately fill your mind with other information, you're diluting the power. It's like planting a seed and immediately throwing other seeds on top. The one you want to grow gets suffocated. And there's a fourth mistake that Florence Scovel Shinn only realized after years of teaching. People who did the affirmation, but during the day acted completely against abundance. They programmed prosperity at night, but complained about bills during the day. They declared deserving at night, but sabotaged themselves during the day. And that creates cognitive dissonance. The subconscious gets confused because it's receiving opposing messages. So the nightly affirmation needs to be accompanied by daytime coherence. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be aware. You need to catch your scarcity thoughts during the day and correct them. Florence Scovel Shinn had a simple technique for this. She called it a mental counter. Every time you think of scarcity during the day, you mentally mark a negative point. And every time you think of abundance, you mark a positive point. And at the end of the day, before doing the nightly affirmation, you review it. Did I have more thoughts of abundance or scarcity today? And the goal is to have a positive balance. It doesn't need to be perfect, but you need to be conscious. And awareness already changes the game. There was a woman that Florence Scovel Shinn helped, named Ashley. Ashley was a teacher. She earned little, and she complained constantly. To colleagues, to students, to family. Always talking about how teachers are underpaid, how it's unfair, how the system exploits them. And when she started doing the affirmation before sleeping, she saw absolutely no results, not even in a month. She went back to Florence Scovel Shinn, frustrated, and Florence Scovel Shinn asked about her day, and Ashley admitted that she complained all day long. So, Florence Scovel Shinn gave her a challenge. 1 week. Just 1 week. Ashley couldn't complain about money out loud. Every time the temptation came, she should either remain silent or say something neutral. Just 1 week. Ashley accepted the challenge, and it was one of the most difficult weeks of her life, because she didn't realize how much she complained. It was automatic. It was an addiction. But she caught herself and stopped and redirected. And at the end of the week, something extraordinary happened. The school principal offered Ashley to coordinate a special project with significant extra pay, something that had never happened before. Ashley went back to Florence Scovel Shinn astonished. 1 week without complaining and an opportunity appeared, and Florence Scovel Shinn explained. Complaining closes energetic doors. You're literally declaring to the universe, I'm a victim. It's unfair. And the universe says, okay. Is that what you want to confirm? I'll give you more situations that confirm that. But when you stop complaining, you open space. And the universe? It's got plenty of room to deliver abundance to you. So, this nighttime affirmation is powerful, but it needs to be supported by daytime awareness, not perfection. Awareness. Are you conscious of what you're saying, of what you're thinking, of what you're declaring? And whenever possible, do you choose abundance, even when the external reality is screaming scarcity? Now, here's something Florence Scovel Shinn taught about faith during tough times. Faith isn't believing when everything is going your way. Anyone can do that. Faith is believing when everything is against you. It's reciting that nighttime affirmation, even when your bank account is in the red. It's declaring abundance even when you can't see where it's coming from. That's genuine faith. And that's the kind of faith that moves mountains. Now, there are some variations that Florence taught for specific situations. If you're in deep debt, you add a line. If you need a specific amount urgently, you add another. But the core affirmation works for everyone because it attacks the root. It reprograms your fundamental beliefs about money and worthiness. And here's something crucial. In the first few days, your mind is going to resist. You'll repeat the affirmation, and an internal voice will say, "This is nonsense. It won't work. You're fooling yourself." That voice? That's the ego. It's the old programming defending itself. Because every installed belief fights to survive. Don't listen to that voice. Keep repeating the affirmation. And in a few days, the resistance will diminish. And the new programming will start to take hold. And there's a clear sign that it's working. You start to wake up differently. Not with anxiety, not with dread, but with lightness, with hope, with energy. Even before anything external changes, you'll feel an internal shift. And internal change always precedes external change. Always. Florence called this the green light. When you wake up with a different feeling, the universe is giving you the green light. It's saying, "I received it. I'm processing it. Keep trusting." And usually, between the green light and the physical manifestation, there's a gap of 1 to 3 weeks. So don't give up if you don't see money the next day. The work is happening behind the scenes. And now, before I give you the last layer of this teaching, I need to ask for a favor. If you felt something watching this far, if this message has touched your soul, if you feel you've been guided to this video by synchronicity, use the super thanks now. Not just to support the channel, but as your first act of abundance for the day. Because here's the spiritual truth. When you give consciously to something that has brought you value, you're activating the law of circulation. You're saying to the universe, "I have to give." And what you declare energetically, you attract back, multiplied. The super thanks isn't an expense. It's a spiritual investment. It's a seed. And seeds always return as a harvest. And now, the last layer. The secret that Florence revealed only to advanced students. The affirmation before sleep is powerful. But there's a way to multiply its power tenfold. And it has to do with the full moon. Florence studied lunar cycles and discovered that the full moon amplifies manifestation, especially financial manifestation, because the full moon is a peak of energy. It's when tides rise, when emotions intensify, when the veil between worlds grows thinner. And if you recite the affirmation every night, but pay special attention on the night of the full moon, the results accelerate dramatically. On the night of the full moon, Florence instructed people not only to repeat the affirmation, but to perform a complete ritual. Light a white candle, place a glass of water near the bed, and repeat the affirmation not 11, but 22 times. And then drink the water, blow out the candle, and go to sleep immediately. She called this the lunar amplification ritual. And she documented that people who did this manifested in half the time, because they were using not only the power of the subconscious mind, but the power of cosmic cycles. And when you align your practice with natural cycles, you're not fighting the current, you're surfing the wave. And the next full moon, mark it on your calendar, prepare your ritual, and do exactly as Florence taught. And pay attention to what happens in the following 7 days. You'll see synchronicities, opportunities, unexpected conversations, ideas that come out of nowhere. Those are signs that the universe is orchestrating your manifestation. And now, I want you to do something. Go to the comments and write exactly this. I commit. 2 words. Nothing more. Because when you write publicly, you create an energetic contract. You're not just committing to yourself. You're committing to the collective field of everyone who's watching. And public commitment has exponential power. Write it now. I commit. And then tonight, 5 minutes before sleep, you begin. You repeat the affirmation 11 times, with feeling, with faith, as if it were already real. And you do this every night for the next 90 days, without skipping, without questioning, just doing. And get ready. Because in the next few weeks, your financial life will start to change. It might be subtle at first, an unexpected payment, a job opportunity, a lucrative idea. But it will grow, and in 3 months, you'll look back, and you won't recognize your financial reality. Because you haven't just changed your thoughts, you've changed your subconscious programming. And when the subconscious changes, everything changes. Florence Scovel Shinn proved this with hundreds of people. And now it's your turn to prove it to yourself. You have the affirmation. You have the method. You have the moment. The only question that remains is, are you going to do it? Because knowledge without action is fantasy. But knowledge with action is manifestation. And you can spend your whole life dreaming about change. Or you can start tonight. 5 minutes, 11 repetitions, a simple affirmation, and a sacred commitment to yourself. The universe is waiting for your answer. Not tomorrow, today, tonight, 5 minutes before sleep. You're going to plant the most important seed of your financial life, and in the coming months, you're going to reap the abundance that has always been your birthright. Florence used to say that each person is a garden, and the garden grows what you plant. If you plant worry at night, you reap anxiety in the morning. But if you plant abundance at night, you reap prosperity in due time. And now you know how to plant. You have the seeds, you have the instructions, you have everything you need. The only question is, are you going to plant? Or are you going to keep reaping scarcity because you don't change what you plant? The choice has always been yours. And it continues to be yours now. Choose wisely. Choose with courage. Choose abundance. And start tonight.